Alright, so our next video, 3-3, parallel lines and transversals on page 11 of your notes. So we're going to be looking at some important relationships that are formed when we know the lines are parallel. And these are things we'll be looking for throughout the year. So first of all, what is a transversal? We know what parallel lines are. Parallel lines are two coplanar lines that never intersect. And if lines are parallel, they'll be notated by that symbol right there, the arrows on the line. That means that these two lines are parallel. And a transversal is a line that cuts through those parallel lines like so. Could go in any direction, could look like that, could be a little steeper like that. But either way, when we have parallel lines cut by a transversal, some very important relationships form. So first of all, a little bit of review. Vertical angles. So we know what our vertical angles are at this point. Two intersecting lines, the non-adjacent angles are vertical angles. So in this case, angle 1 and 4 are vertical angles. Okay, we can go the other way. Angle 2 and 3 are vertical angles. So you get the idea, and you can do the same thing for those angles down there. But vertical angles, we know, are always congruent. Very important vocab word for the year. Moving along, here's some vocabulary words that you may remember from 8th grade. If not, we're going to review them today and next time in class. Alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles, this is a relationship that's true if the lines are parallel. So the interior part of this word means that they're on the interior. They're inside. They're kind of squeezed between our two parallel lines. That's the interior part of that definition. And the alternate part means they're on opposite or alternating sides of our transversal. So alternate interior angles would be angles 3 and angle 6. So angle 3 and angle 6. The other pair would be angle 4 and angle 5. So angle 4 and angle 5. There are your alternate interior angles. And alternate interior angles are also congruent. So 3 is congruent to 6 and 4 is congruent to 5. So for your homework tonight, if you see a pair of angles that have this relationship that are alternate interior, you'll set them equal and you'll solve for x that way. All right, alternate exterior, very similar. Alternate exterior angles, the exterior means that they're on the exterior, they're outside your parallel lines. So they're up above and below those parallel lines. And same thing, the alternating part, the alternate, same as before, means they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 2 and angle 7 are alternate exterior angles. Same thing going this way. Angle 1 and angle 8 are on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're outside the parallel lines. So those angles, 1 and 8 and 2 and 7, are alternate exterior. Okay, and you start to see the pattern here. Alternate exterior angles are also congruent. All right, and last one, this one's a little more difficult to see. And actually the reason we're able to prove this is through that substitution rule that we've talked a lot about this year. So corresponding angles. Corresponding angles basically means that they match up. They're in the same spot at each one of our intersections. So if you look at just the top half here, so if you look just right there, you can see angle 2 is kind of in the top right of this little intersection. Let me get my magic pen out here. So angle 2 is in the top right of that little intersection. So let me close that out. Now we'll look at the bottom intersection, this bottom kind of four corners. You can see angle 6 is in the same kind of quadrant. It's in the same spot as angle 2 is. So angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. They're in the same little spot of each of our intersections. All right, we can also see, if we look at angle 1 here, is in the top left corner. Angle 5 is also in that kind of top left corner. Okay, so what I want you to do for a second, I want you to pause the video. I want you to find the other two pairs of corresponding angles and write them down below. All right, so go ahead and pause, try that out, and see how you do. All right, so there are my answers. So angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding, as well as angle 4 and angle 8 right there. So if you mark them in, notice what I did. When I marked angle 3 and angle 7, I only marked them with one arc. And the reason I did that is because they're the same, actually the same measure as angle 2 and angle 6, right? Those are just vertical angles. So I didn't want to mark those with a different set of arcs. I didn't want to mark those with the 3 arcs because they're the same as the angle across from it. So angle 3 and angle 7 are congruent, but they're also congruent to angle 2 and angle 6. So you can kind of start to see the pattern. There's only 2 different angle measures here. All right, angle 1, 5, 4, and 8 are all the same. And then 2, 3, 6, and 7 are all the same. So corresponding angles are also congruent. Now basically everything else, if they're none of these relationships, then that means that they're going to be supplementary. So consecutive interior or same side interior, this is kind of one more special relationship. So same side interior angles would be like 4 and 6. Angle 4 and angle 6. All right, or angle 3 and angle 5. And those angles are supplementary. So they equal 180. So I wouldn't worry about that vocabulary so much, but the big thing is to identify what angles are congruent and what angles are supplementary. So let's flip. And here's a really good thing that I saw a student do last year that helped them remember. So what I see people do is they label all their angles with A's and B's. So if I start right here and I label this angle A, we can kind of go through all our relationships. Vertical angles. That means that's also an angle A. Those are congruent. Okay, we can look at our alternate interior. So if this is angle A, alternate interior would be another angle A right there. And we can look at this several different ways. We can think about this as an alternate exterior situation, so here and here. We can think about this as a corresponding angle situation here and here. You can also just look at it as vertical angles. So either way, no matter how you look at it, this angle here is also an angle A. So all these angle A's are all congruent. They're all the same measure. And that kind of leaves all the other angles as angle B's. So those are vertical angles. Those are a different angle measure. Those are B's. Right here, angle B. Right here, angle B. So now what we have in our picture, we have a whole bunch of A's. We have a whole bunch of B's. All the angle A's are all congruent. Everything with a B is always congruent. And A plus a B, no matter where they are, always equals 180. So when A plus a B, those are always supplementary. They always equal 180. So that's maybe a good strategy to look at for your homework tonight. All right, we talked about this before. How do you know that lines are parallel? Those symbols right there. So in the type of problem you're looking at, it might either tell you the lines are parallel, or it might just give you that symbol, those arrows. That means the lines are parallel. All right, so what I want you to do is go on to the next page. I just want you to try numbers, whoa, what happened? Numbers 1 through 6. So just name the relationship, see how we're doing, flip back if you need to, and then I'll unpause and you can look at how you did. So go ahead and try those now. All right, so take a minute, see how you did. Remember, anything that's corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, vertical, those are always congruent. All right, the ones I would probably check really carefully is number 5. Those two angles are supplementary. And the corresponding angles are usually some of the tougher ones to see. All right, so that's your job on the homework tonight. So if you need to take another look at that, you can pause, but I'm going to move on. So like on your homework tonight, you may see a question like number 10, or you will see a question like number 10. So if it helps to turn your paper sideways to see the angles a little better, it might help to kind of always look at them like that, in that direction. But you need to identify the relationship. So these two angles are alternate interior. So I'll abbreviate there. So that means you'll just set them equal. 2x minus 10 equals 80. And you solve for x. Now for number 11, we look at these two relationships. They're not alternate interior. They almost are, but they're not quite. That would have to be over here. They're not alternate exterior. They're not quite corresponding. They're not vertical. So for number 11, that means the only other option is that they are supplementary. So they equal 180. So we'll do 120 plus 3x equals 180.